Hey people, this is Chris from Worship Leader UK. We're carrying on with our 32 tips for ways to grow as a worship leader. Hope you're enjoying the series so far. This tip is read more. Now, I find it hard enough to find the time to read my Bible, let alone other interesting books, and let alone books on worship, but I can't recommend enough the value of finding some good books on worship that will help you to develop your own discipleship and develop your understanding of the principles behind worship, why we do it and who we do it for. So I've got 3 books that I'm going to recommend. We had a post a while ago where I talked about 10 great books. I'll put the link to that in the notes. But I want to talk about 3 key books that I really want to recommend to you to go and have a look. Now, I'm not being paid to do this, I'm not being sponsored, these are just my 3 top picks. So let's have a look. First of all, I want to talk about Worship Matters by Bob Kauflin. This is a seminal text on being a worshipper that leads others in worship. It looks at leadership, it looks at the task of the worship leader, it looks at how to deal with tensions that you might find, that you might come across, and it looks at developing good relationships in your team and in your church. So I really recommend, if you don't get any other book on worship, get a copy of Worship Matters by Bob Kauflin. Secondly, quite a new book, Now to Him by Neil Bennett and Simon Ponsonby. Like I say, it hasn't been around for that long, but absolutely great. It's got a really good balance of personal reflection and theological depth, and you'll find that it really covers a lot of ground, but in really manageable bite-sized chunks. It's really enjoyable to read, really straightforward, and just the kind of thing that if you spend some time each evening just working through a bit of it, you'll get a lot out of it. And thirdly, a book that I found really helpful as I've worked as a worship leader in churches has been Tom Krautner's Developing an Effective Worship Ministry. This is much more like a toolkit actually. It's a great practical guide for anyone involved in leading worship teams at any level. And I also really recommend it for any lead pastors who are looking for some hints and tips on how to work with worship leaders and worship teams as well. So those are my 3 top recommendations that I just think you should go and have a look for. Get hold of them. I was going to say beg, borrow or steal, but I wouldn't want to recommend that you go thieving them from anyone. But yeah, Worship Matters by Bob Kauflin, Now to Him by Neil Bennett and Simon Ponsonby, and Developing an Effective Worship Ministry by Tom Krautner. I hope you find those really helpful and inspiring and take you further as you grow as a worship leader. If you've got any thoughts about those books, or if you've got any other suggestions for books that have really made a difference in your journey as a worship leader, please leave a comment. We'd love to hear more about what you're reading and what you're getting out of it. So this is Chris from Worship Leader UK. Go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.